Today we're going to talk about a guy who almost got away with stealing $65 billion unnoticed. And no, it's not some Hollywood plot. This is a real story about Bernard Lawrence. Bernard Lawrence Bernie Madoff, an American financier who executed the largest Ponzi scheme in history. But before we dive into the juicy details, let's get to know Bernie. He was born on April 29, 1938 in Brooklyn, New York. Bernard's parents, Ralph and Sylvia Madoff, founded Gibraltar Securities, which was ultimately forced to close by the Security Exchange Commission, or SEC. The family business was destined to be on the wrong side of the law after all. Bernie earned a bachelor's degree from Hofstra University in 1960 and later attended law school at Brooklyn Law School. But his true calling was in the financial industry. He founded Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities LLC in 1960 with his high school sweetheart Ruth Nie Alpern. Initially, Bernard traded penny stocks with $5,000 which he earned installing sprinklers and working as a lifeguard. And just like that, he convinced family and friends to invest with him. In 1962, there was a sudden and significant drop of 20% in the stock market, known as the Kennedy slide. This event caused problems for Bernie Madoff's investments, and he lost money. His father-in-law had to help him out by giving him money to cover his losses, but that didn't stop Bernie. So he worked his way up, making a name for himself as a scrappy market maker. Success finally came for Bernie when he and his brother Peter began to build electronic trading. They attracted massive order flow and boosted the business by providing insights into market activity. He and 4 other important people on Wall Street were responsible for handling 50% of the orders placed on the New York Stock Exchange. By the late 1980s, Madoff was making over $100 million a year. He soon became chair of the Nasdaq in 1990 and also served in 1991 and 1993. Madoff was on top of the world, but it all came crashing down when he got greedy. He attracted investors by claiming to generate large, steady returns through an investing strategy called split strike conversion, a legitimate trading strategy. But here's where the twist comes in. Madoff deposited client funds into a single bank account that he used to pay existing clients who wanted to cash out. He used money from new people who invested in his scheme to pay back old investors who wanted their money back. However, when the market fell suddenly in late 2008, he couldn't keep up with the fraud. On December 10, 2008, Bernie Madoff admitted to his sons, who also worked at his company, that he had done something wrong. The next day, his sons reported him to the police. Bernie continued to insist that his sons didn't know about his bad actions. The last financial reports for the company show that it had $64.8 billion of other people's money invested in it. It's not clear exactly when Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme started. He claimed in court that it began in the early 1990s, but his account manager, Frank DePascali, who had been working for the company since 1975, said that the fraudulent activity had been going on as far back as he could remember. And here's the kicker. Even less clear is why Madoff carried out the scheme at all. I had more than enough money to support my lifestyle and my family's. I didn't need to do this for that, he said, adding, "I don't know why." The fallout from Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme was devastating. Thousands of investors lost their life savings, many of whom were elderly and retired. Some were charities, foundations, and universities. The damage was not limited to the United States. Investors from Europe and Asia also lost billions. The financial world was shaken when it was revealed that Bernie Madoff had committed a massive fraud. People who were supposed to watch over the financial system, like regulators and lawmakers, were criticized for not doing their job well. Madoff fooled many people because of his reputation and history, and they didn't check to make sure he was telling the truth. The scandal also affected Madoff's family, with his wife giving up her money and his sons facing public criticism. Tragically, his son Mark took his own life, and his other son Andrew died from cancer. Madoff was given a very harsh punishment. He was sentenced to prison for 150 years and ordered to give up his assets. He tried to appeal but failed. Madoff died in prison in 2021, which brought some closure for his victims and their families, but the damage caused by the fraud remains.